The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all may believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. This is the testimony given by John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny it, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And then they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." Then they said to them, "Who are you? Let us have an answer for those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, 'Make straight the way of the Lord.'" As the prophet Isaiah said, now they had been sent from the Pharisees. They asked him, "Why then are you baptizing if you are neither the Messiah, nor Elijah, nor the prophet?" John answered them, "I baptize with water. Among you stands one whom you do not know, the one who is coming after me. I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandal." This took place in Bethany, across the Jordan where John was baptizing. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, this has been quite a couple of weeks, hasn't it? It started out with our COVID numbers showing signs of bumping up a bit, increased infections. Last Advent, we didn't even know what COVID was, much less know that we have COVID numbers to watch. Now they're part of our daily dialogue. Is it going to rain today? Have you checked the COVID numbers? Then everyone wanted to know what the restrictions are if we go to the red category. We had only been orange for a week, and all of a sudden we're in red. And then the next thing, you know, our numbers are even higher. And there was rumors that we're going to be going to gray, lockdown mode. And then Friday, bang, they make the announcement, and we're shut down tonight at 12:01. Stores will close or severely restrict the shoppers' services will be shut down. And yes, the churches are all closed as of tomorrow. Nothing is the same as it was. Nothing we know can be relied on. People are growing weary and some are starting to rebel. Our worlds have been turned all upside down. I would never have imagined having to wear a mask everywhere, much less wearing it in the sanctuary of the church, the place where we're supposed to feel safe. But here we are in the house of God today with our faces hidden and the smell of disinfectant all around us. This is not the home we know. This is not the place where we were born and raised, the place where we live with our families. This is different. It's like we've been exiled from our own reality and brought to a foreign land where nothing is the same. Some are tired. Some are angry. They're angry at the changes that have occurred. There's plenty of blame. Take your pick, the government, the U.S. president, China. Everyone has a favorite scapegoat. And hope. Hope is becoming hard to find. You know, that's not unlike what's happened to the people of Israel around the time of our first reading today. They were exiled into the darkness and captivity of Babylon, cast out of the reality of their homes to go to a foreign place. Nothing was the same. Some were tired and even angry at what was happening. There was plenty of blame to go around and not much hope. Today, as Father Stephen said, is the third Sunday of Advent, and this is traditionally known as Gaudete Sunday. Notice the pink candle in the Advent wreath. Gaudete means joy or rejoice. In any normal Advent, we would have all sung, O come, Emmanuel, several times by now, I'm sure. And the key phrase that follows that is, and ransom captive Israel. The people were looking for God. They were looking for God to save them, to bring them out of exile. And then along comes this guy, Isaiah. Isaiah's words must have been music to the ears of the exiles in Babylon. They were going home. God was delivering them from captivity. In the face of this pandemic, I think I understand that better than I ever have before. Isaiah proclaimed the message to them 2.5 millennia ago, and it resonates with us as if he's speaking to us today. Just listen to what he said. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to bring good news to the oppressed. I think we can take that to mean to those who are burdened by the pandemic. To set captives free. Now, we're not advocating a jailbreak, but helping people be freed from whatever it is that restricts them, that restrains them. He goes on to say, make us well so that we are free of all these restrictions. Bind up the brokenhearted. You know, there are plenty of people in our own parishes suffering mentally because of the isolation and the loneliness caused by COVID. The main message, though, is God is here. God is with us. And God will bring us out. In the second reading, the Apostle Paul looks to lift our spirits. He says, rejoice in all, pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God with us. Shall come to thee, O Israel. And how can we do this? Well, here's where St. Paul comes in. He lays out a plan for us in the second reading, and these just happen to be the actions and activities of a normal Advent. But they make so much more sense now. Here's the thing. Advent is a time of patience. It's a time of waiting. It's a time of hope. But it's not a time to sit back and be passive. It's not a time to do nothing. It's not a time to stop praying. It's not a time to lack being repentant. It's not a time to sit back and not take action. If we are to be delivered from the exile, if we are to be freed from these restrictions, if we are to put this pandemic behind us, we can't sit back and be complacent. The Apostle Paul tells us, pray. Pray like Isaiah prayed to deliver the Israelites from Babylon. Work. Work like St. Paul to evangelize and spread the good news that our hope is in Jesus Christ. And repent. Like John the Baptist told us to repent. Make straight the way of the Lord. Repent and believe the good news. So here we are halfway through this blessed season of Advent. On this Gaudete Sunday of joy. And at the very beginning of the lockdown. And I think it's time to step back and examine what it is we're doing. Examine how it is we're handling all of this. It's time to pray. It's time to repent. And it's time to take action. Time to act. And if we do these things, if we actively involve ourselves the way St. Paul suggests, we too will be delivered from this exile.